All right. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for having me on the panel. My introduction to Baltimore sports was with my father while watching the Baltimore Bullets coincidentally play against the New York Knicks, which is funny. So, just to see the game evolve and just to say, hey, we had a basketball team. And unfortunately, that basketball team moved away a couple of years later, but they would come back every so often. If you can recall it, they would play down the Civic Center maybe 4 times a year before they completely transitioned out to being in Washington. So that was my introduction.
My introduction to Baltimore sports was my father, man. Going to Morgan State University games. My dad went to Morgan, picking up an old Street and Smith magazine, and my dad was from D.C., but they moved to Baltimore when he was in high school, so he would put an asterisk behind anybody from D.C. or Baltimore who played ball. And then, like I remember like maybe '84 when the Dozier brothers, I think they moved up to Baltimore. I remember my dad saying, "Yeah, we got the Dozier brothers, blah blah blah." So just having that level of psychology of this is an important thing. My dad went to City. It was he feels it's important for me to mention he was a long jump champ in 1965, and
Wow.
Right, man.
just supporting whatever city you're from. That mentality of Morgan State, and just loving Baltimore is was a something that was taught.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope all is well. My introduction to Baltimore sports was growing up in East Baltimore in Perkins Projects was a neighborhood. Every time I go outside, there's some guys playing pickup ball in the basketball courts, or they're playing football in the streets. I'm the youngest of 7, so I got 4 older brothers, and all of them played sports. They played baseball, they played football, so I was the one tagging along to all those games when I was young. And then my dad was a big sports watcher. He didn't play a lot growing up. He might have played Little League, didn't play in high school, but he was a big sports watcher. So he was a Redskins fan. I was a Cowboys fan. I remember watching the '83 championship when the Orioles won back in the day, and on 33rd Street, and they won the championship. And I heard all the fireworks and firecrackers going off after they won that championship. I remember sitting on the couch with him. So I had an early introduction to sports in the neighborhood, and then it translated to my family. And then obviously me going to Dunbar, University of Maryland going forward. So that was my introduction.
Okay. All right, cool. So the next question, and we'll go in the same order. What is your favorite local team and why? A professional team, amateur team. What's your favorite local team and why? We'll start with you again, Dante.
Okay. So it's kind of split. Well, my first love was soccer just because of Pele in the 70s. But but my favorite local team is the Baltimore Orioles, and here's why. Oriole Magic, as Rodney just eloquently stated, was a beast. Yeah. So a person that grew up professional wrestling, anything that hyped you up, you just fell in love with it. And I just watched where certain things that the Orioles did, they were down, and you just thought that they would have a chance to win. But that's my favorite local team, just because of the spirit and that Oriole Magic, baby.
Nice. Scott?
I would also echo Dante. Just Oriole Magic, man, was a powerful thing. I remember when '83 when they won and Mike Dempsey was running everywhere, man. It was just like a psycho type of a moment, man, where you just went wild and just following the team. And I like all the teams. When you see somebody with an orange and black hat, it's like you want to recognize them, man, because number one, it's Oriole Magic, but also you soldiered through the pain of the last 20-some years. But my favorite local team is Morgan State University. I mean, All my family went there. You know, we bleed Morgan State, man. And just like when Morgan beats somebody, man, it's a joy. And when we lose, like you just want to turn your head and don't see this tear go down my eye, man, because just the pride and the power of Morgan, man, is real a big thing to me, man. So Morgan State is my favorite team, but I just want to say I respect Oriole Magic as well.
Oriole Magic was great. Definitely remember that. Like I said, I remember winning that championship. We winning that championship and being on the couch with my dad back in the day. I was sad when the Colts left, happy when the Ravens came back. But for me, my favorite local team is actually Dunbar Poets. Went to Dunbar, played football and basketball there, played ball overseas. And every time I'm out of the country or out of the state, and people ask me where I'm from and I play ball, they say, "Are you from Dunbar?" No disrespect to any other schools here in the city, nothing like that. But Dunbar for me was great 4 years of my life when I was there. The tradition that we share even afterwards, and quite honestly, it was the tradition that they showed before I went there that made me go there. I remember living right across the street in Somerset Projects and wondering why all these cars were parked on Central Avenue, all the way from Fayette Street all the way up to Miami. Like, where are these cars coming from? And then when I realized that they were coming from that gym right next door and it was shaking when they were in there going crazy, that made me want to go there. So for me, it's the good old PPO3, Dunbar Poets.
Nice, man. So if you guys can't hear me, I've also put the questions in the chat, just in case I start breaking up or the audio gets bad. But the next question is, what is your fondest Baltimore sports memory?
Wow. I mean, I know once we received the questions and received, looking at it again, it's so many that I have, but I guess I'm gonna just break it down to the fondest. But just the Orioles winning that championship, watching them come up short in 1982 against the Brewers, and was like, man, we're going to get them back next year, and boy did we do. I mean, every time I walk around with that Oriole hat and a bat and knocking on people's door saying, hey, let's go play some baseball. They just won. So it's kind of hard gathering 17 other people. But at that time, you could get a group of people to play baseball. Not so much now, but definitely that's my fondest Baltimore sports memory.
Nice. What about you, Scott?
My fondest Baltimore sports memory. I'm just gonna shake two at you, man. I remember I was in high school, man. I went up to Morgan State University, and we were watching the game. I was a senior. I'm like, I just not committed, but I just got accepted to Morgan. It's the only school I really got accepted to, man. So it's the only school I applied to, Morgan and A&T. But anyway, we were down getting beat 27-zip, man. It was embarrassing. I just remember, man, this is tough. And everybody's looking around, and there's a whole bunch of people there. We were playing Howard, which I detest, Howard University. And Morgan came back, man, and 28-27. I remember Orlando Purcell threw 4 touchdowns, and everybody just went wild. It was just an amazing experience, man. The campus, the band is kicking and playing off, man. And just like, man, this is my home for the next, X amount of years, man. So it was powerful to be a part of that. But I also want to say that when Morgan beat, and it's no disrespect to brother Ronnie, when Morgan beat University of Maryland in 2009, man, I was there, man, and my dad was literally in tears watching the game because Reggie Nelson has played so tough, man. It's just good to see black colleges come up and compete. So that was a powerful moment, man.
Yeah, I remember that Morgan game. My guy Keith Boop was on the bench that game, and he actually scheduled that game. I think Coach Keith Goody was on the bench for Morgan State, so they figured out how to get that game scheduled. Now, let's just say Gary Williams was not happy at that, happy for that scheduling. But kudos to Morgan and Reggie. Yeah, Reggie played his butt off that game too. So for me, I already mentioned the Orioles back in the day with my dad on the couch. That was awesome. I remember that I was young, but I think another one for me would be the Ravens. When Ravens came and they good team, Ray Lewis, they won. I can't remember who the wide receiver was, but when Joe Flacco threw that in the playoffs at Denver, and he threw that bomb to what's my man name? I can't think of his name.
Right. I think it was on Dancing with the Stars too, if I want to believe. Jacoby.
Jacoby, that's what it was. It was fourth quarter. I don't know, third and long. It might have been fourth and long. I don't know. But Joe dropped back, pressure, safety misguessed it, whatever you want to call it. Joe let it go, and that actually helped us obviously win the Super Bowl that game. But for me, the Ravens put me on roller coaster almost every fall when they going to games. Well, I don't care if you're watching in your living room or you out and about at a bar, restaurant, somewhere watching. They put you on those roller coasters, man. But when you're on a roller coaster and they actually get it done, that's a great feeling. So for me, that was one of the most memorable moments being a Baltimore sports fan.
Nice. So the next question is, who was your favorite local athlete?
Wow. So I'm gonna twist up the question a little bit. I know we said local professional athlete, but I'm also going to throw in, if you don't mind, athlete that's played for a Baltimore team. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's really
okay. So I guess the local professional athlete would be Cal Ripken, and just taking hundreds of my students and players out to the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation and working with them. But that was on towards the tail end. But just showing the commitment of, he had his dad playing with him, he had his brother playing with him. He would come to work every day. Okay, he has a bad back, he has a bad ankle, he has this. So me growing up early into coaching, I could always say, hey, look, this is what Cal was doing. Ultimate sacrifice, ultimate Iron Man. But my favorite professional athlete that's played in the Baltimore uniform has to be Eddie Murray. Eddie Murray. Beast.
Eddie.
Yes, sir. I went to what's now kind of defunct, a double header that was planned. Imagine that, against the Kansas City Royals, and he hit 2 home runs. I said, Eddie hit a home run for me. Wow, he hit a home run. It was the first game I ever went to. That's when you could bring food in and everything else, but I'll leave that alone. So cold chicken, y'all know what I'm talking about, cold chicken. Anyway, but yeah, definitely Eddie Murray.
Nice.
I had 2 answers for almost every question, man. First and foremost, I would say Ed Reed is someone who's not a Baltimorean but played for Baltimore, just because of the love and respect he had for Baltimore, man, and still has for Baltimore. And the way I used to work at Booker T. Washington, and he would put together like a championship experience for the kids there, where they're going to the game. The brother, man, they would make sure they had a grill so the kids. A lot of kids may not eat on Sunday morning. The kids are, they're grilling out there, so that way they're tailgating before the game, throwing the football around. And then this is the way he kicked it with the kids when they would come to camp, or he would bring the guys over to the school. It was just real cool, real laid back, man. And it wasn't on any airs. Kicked out Christmas gifts to the kids on the low. And I thought that was powerful, man. I hadn't seen anything like that. I mean, there are a lot of guys who do a lot of great stuff, but I just thought he did a personal touch to it, man. And then I would say Bob Wade. My dad dominates my sports memories, man, and he would talk about Bob Wade like he was the next coming. I mean, even at Morgan, he was a cornerback in Morgan, and he was a huge cornerback, man. And they Morgan was unstoppable in the late '60s. And then seeing his rise as a high school coach, but then also taking over for Sugar Cane. But also, I'm a horrible player, man. But I went to Bob Wade's ABC basketball camp at University of Maryland, and it's the way he conducted the camp, and it was all seriousness, man. No frills, no nothing, man. I think he has a strong legacy. And I think that the way they treated him in Maryland was terrible. And I think he just has a powerful legacy, man.
Yeah, real good friends with his son Darryl Wade, and I see Coach Wade, father, all the time when we get together and things of nature. So definitely a good guy. For me, similar to what you said about Ed Reed, as far as him being approachable. For me, it's a Baltimore guy, Sam Cassell. Coming up, 2S, I called him 2S's, 2Ls. Everybody said that, but he was always someone, when he was at Florida State, he was a touchable guy. I mean, he came back home in the summertime. He played in the gyms. He came to the park. He played at the park. He played at the Dome. You could play with him, but you also could pull him to the side and pick his brain a little bit. And he was always one that would also offer knowledge, especially when he went to the Rockets. That was the same thing. So in my early years trying to make the NBA, I actually had opportunity to play with the Celtics, and one of our preseason games was against Milwaukee when he played with the Bucks. So it was cool to kind of hang out with him the night before. It was cool to talk to him pregame, stuff like that, kind of give me the ropes. I never made the NBA, played overseas in Europe for a while, but Sam was someone I could always come back to and chop it up with, But also he was a fun jokester guy as well. So for me, it was somebody like Sam Cassell because he was a pro, he was a champion, he was a professional, he was a millionaire, but he also was touchable. He was that guy you could, see when you came back home in the summertime.
Nice. All right, last question. And so you guys will be able to relate maybe, and I know that you probably have not endured as much heartbreak as I. You see this apparel I got on, so this is a long running thing for me. I know what it is to experience heartbreak and disappointment, and we got the 8th pick this year. We just got the worst luck. But for you guys, having been born and raised in Baltimore, what was the most heartbreaking moment in Baltimore sports history?
Wow. I think, it's been a few, but I'll say for me,
how many is this?
I look, I got it. I know that, the persons that are here are the persons on the panel are persons of a certain age. And where
Right.
were you, and how many days old were you when you realized that Jeffrey Mayer is 36 years old? Do Jeffrey Mayer click it for anyone here? Jeffrey Mayer was the one, I want to say it was Melvin Moore or one of, when he tried to go up, and the kid reached over and stole and went and got the ball when he was about to take it.
Okay.
97,
that
right?
kid,
98.
Yeah, 96,
Wow.
97, something like that. He's 36.
Wow.
That's mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
36.
Yeah, man.
So, when I saw that, and that was one of the best chances when we had Palmero and we had Roberto Alomar, and we had a squad. And when that happened, it was before instant replay, because instant replay would have thwarted that out. It would have been fan interference. It would have been an out. But that one is probably the most heartbreaking for me.
Again, I had two answers, man. The first one is a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, man. I took about 15 kids to D.C. To the museum, and we went to the Morgan State Howard football game, and Morgan State had dominated the whole game, man. And then a couple of older cats were there, man. We were all having a good time, and Morgan lost at the last second, and then it started raining. So as soon as they lost, we got right on the bus. And I didn't even realize this, man. I'm on the bus. This is me and all the kids. And I'm looking out the window, man, like something happened to me. And one of the kids was like, Mr. Johnson, are you good, man? Everything good? I was like, oh, man, fellas, I'm sorry, man. For maybe 15 minutes, I'm just looking out the window. No orders, no instructions, man. But it just really bothered me. Like, how did we lose that game like that, man? I really get connected to those kind of things. And then also when Maryland lost to Duke, man, when they were up by 10 the year before they won the national title, they just terrible, man, because if you're a Maryland fan, you absolutely cannot stand Duke. And
Right.
I feel like Maryland dominated them a lot or throughout a certain era in a way that no one else did, and or at least played them extremely well, better than anybody else played them. And when they lost that game, man, it was just like, oh my God, we're never going to beat them. You know what I mean? Not in the sense like that, but then to come back and then win the national title the next year that was amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know I didn't know I would grow to hate Duke before I went there. Wojciechowski is a good friend of mine. He's now the head coach at Marquette. But coming up, we played AAU ball together and everything. When he was going to Duke, I'm going to Maryland, great. But like you're right, like that hatred for Duke definitely came. For me, most heartbreak. I told you about the roller coasters with the Ravens. I remember that Oreo moment. Now you bring that back. I'm going to go back to my senior year in high school. Might not be nationally known, but for me, it was a heartbreak. Senior year high school, we were preseason ranked about maybe 8th, about 12th in the country. We lost 3 games that year, all by the buzzer, all to nationally ranked teams. And we were, I want to say, maybe 24-3. But again, like I said, we lost to Southern High School at Coppin by the buzzer, Simon Gratz in the tournament by the buzzer beater, and we lost to Felipe Lopez and up in out in New York by a buzzer beater. We wound up finishing 4th in the country that year. So it's safe to say that if we would have won 3 of those games, probably even 2 of those games, we probably could have been in an opportunity to get another national championship for Dunbar High School that year. So, for me, yeah, that was by far one of the most toughest years. It was great because we did still play well and won a state championship and everything, but state championship, another national championship, wanting to put a banner up there in the high school, kind of was like it was right there. Literally 3 buzzer beaters, like boom, 3 times. That was tough.
Was Sheed on that Gratz team? Rasheed Wallace?
No, Rasheed Wallace was a year ahead of me. So he actually was at North Carolina, same with Keith Booth. So Keith was a freshman at Maryland, Rasheed was a freshman at Maryland. That was my senior year at Dunbar. That was Terrell Stokes was there. What's the kid that went to Coppin State from
Brockington?
One of the Stewart brothers was at Simon Gratz that year.
Harry Stewart and Antoine Brockington, was he at Simon Gratz?
Brockington was there as well.
Yeah, he was a monster.
He wound up going to Temple, so he was there at Brockton with the Temple. Yeah.
I'll share this. This isn't a Baltimore one, but 95, man, during the chase when Starks went 2 for 17, man. That's it. I don't even want to talk about it no more. But
you won't miss
I want to thank you for taking the time to join us for this discussion, man. It's always great talking to you, brothers. I applaud you and salute you for the work that you continue to do, and I look forward to getting together with you guys again soon, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you
for having me.
Appreciate you, man.
Everybody stay safe out there.